The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler. October 20th, Saint Bertilla Boscardin. Blessed Bertilla followed the spiritual path of Saint Therese of the Child Jesus. She was a woman of great practical judgment and a very strong will, who sanctified herself by simply fulfilling her daily duties, despite her poor health, her reduced intellectual capacity, and her lack of initiative. She was born in 1888 in Brindola, between Vicenza and Verona, into a poor peasant family. Her given name was Anna Francesca, but everyone called her Anita. Emigdio Federici, her biographer, writes that Anita was a quiet and hard-working child whose childhood had nothing picturesque about it. Angel Boscardin, Anita's father, was a very jealous man and given to drinking, so that quarrels abounded in his house, as he himself testified in the process of his daughter's beatification. Anita could not attend school regularly, since she had to work in the home and earn a little money by helping out at neighbors' houses. Her playmates nicknamed her La Tontita, the Little Fool. Capovilla, the local parish priest, discussed the girl's religious vocation with Archpriest Grissel, who could not contain his laughter. However, since he considered her at least intelligent enough to peel potatoes, Father Grissel spoke of Anita to certain nuns who refused to admit her. Be that as it may, at the age of 16, Anita entered the convent of the Sisters of St. Dorothea in Vicenza and received the name Bertilla in honor of the holy abbess of Chelles. The young woman told her novice mistress, "I don't know how to do anything. I am useless, a little fool. Teach me to be a saint." Sister Bertilla spent a year helping in the kitchen, in the bakery, and in the laundry. She was then sent to learn nursing in Treviso, where the Sisters of St. Dorothea were in charge of the municipal hospital. But the superior preferred to employ her as an assistant cook. Anita was not able to leave the kitchen until after her profession. In 1907, she went to help in the ward for diphtheritic children, and, from then on, she lived devotedly to the care of the sick. But she soon contracted a painful illness that tormented her during the last 12 years of her life and finally led her to the grave, despite the surgeon's interventions. At the beginning of 1915, the Treviso hospital was occupied by the troops. 2 years later, following the defeat of Caporetto, the Italian army had to retreat to Piave, and the hospital was left in the middle of the battlefront. During the aerial bombardments, while terror paralyzed some of her sisters, Blessed Bertilla, no less frightened, busied herself bringing coffee and Marsala wine to the sick, without her chores preventing her from passing the beads of her rosary. Bertilla and some of her sisters were soon sent to a military hospital in Vigiu, near Como. The chaplain, Pedro Savoldelli, and the officer, Mario Lamari, could not help but admire Bertilla's industriousness and charity. On the other hand, the superior did not know how to appreciate the qualities of her subject, as had already happened with other superiors, and reprimanded her for working too hard and for being too attached to the sick. Finally, she ended up sending her to the laundry. Bertilla worked there without complaint for 4 months, until the Mother General, an extraordinary woman named Azalia Farinea, understood the injustice and removed the Blessed from Vigiu. After the armistice, Sister Bertilla returned to the hospital in Treviso, where she was entrusted with the infectious ward for children. The little sister's health went from bad to worse. 3 years later, the doctors decided to operate on her. The operation proved fatal, and Sister Bertilla died 3 days later, on October 20th, 1922. On the first anniversary of her death, a plaque was placed in the Treviso hospital with the following inscription: "To Sister Bertilla Boscardin, a chosen soul of heroic goodness, who for several years alleviated like an angel the human suffering in this hospital." The people began to flock to Sister Bertilla's tomb in Treviso. Her remains were later transferred to Vicenza, where God worked through her intercession many cures. Sister Bertilla was beatified in 1952 in the presence of some members of her family and several patients she had assisted.